All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here for the July edition of the Library Learning Lounge. We are very excited today. First of all, my name's Karen Menti. If you don't know me, I am an outreach librarian with the University of Arizona Global Campus. And today we're very excited to be joined by Marisha Kelly. She's a library services engineer with EBSCO Information Services. And in her role, Marisha works with academic, public, and K-12 libraries throughout the West and Southeast, helping institutions get the most out of EBSCO's research, tools, and services. And as many of you know, our Library OneSearch platform is powered by EBSCO Discovery Service. You might hear us call it EDS. And Marisha will go into a little bit more detail about what that means, a discovery service. But just wanted to let you know, many of the updates that you'll see today are designed to make searching, saving, and managing research more intuitive and more efficient for the user. Marisha is going to walk us through the latest enhancements and provide a refresher for a lot of us on some of the key features of the platform and just really share tips with us to get the most out of our MyEBSCO account. So, Marisha, we're so grateful for you for joining us today. Just a couple housekeeping notes. I'm going to go ahead and take myself off camera during Marisha's demo and everything, just to improve the quality of the recording. And I ask that everybody else please also take your cameras off and your microphones mute as well, just so we get the best quality recording. But after the demo, we would love to, have an interactive question and answer. We'll definitely have time for that after Marisha's demo. So without further ado, thank you so much, Marisha, for being here today.
Thanks, Karen. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everyone. So hopefully everybody can see this EDS EBSCO Discovery Service slide.
Looks good.
Perfect. And I too am based in South Florida, so I am feeling the heat today as well. So stay cool, everyone, right? But yes, very excited and happy to spend this time with you all today. I realize that a larger part, if not all of this group, may have some familiarity and a lot of experience using this tool, the library's OneSearch EBSCO Discovery Service. So this may be a review and albeit a greater overview of the features you might already be working with, but for others that may be newer and for the broader group, we'll not only discuss the general user experience, but take a deeper look at as Karen mentioned, personalization and then integrations within the interface. So what is Library OneSearch? And you'll probably hear me refer to this as EDS interchangeably or EBSCO Discovery Service. But the library's OneSearch is ultimately the end user discovery platform that just allows users to conduct an all-inclusive search of the library's content, right? So this is going to include any e-resources like articles, videos, specific digital collections, and then ebook catalog resources. And if we think of, where the search box is the gateway to library resources, it just enables a unified search experience across various resource types and supports, that simplified, intuitive starting point to basically jumpstart research and get users into depth fast with just a few keywords. Um, so at a simpler level, and the way I like to think of discovery, think of a library's OneSearch is based on all of the indexing sources, publisher platforms that the library may enable in its discovery layer. The central question really is, can students enter keywords in a single search and see results from several different content sources? So the idea of creating a unified index that users can search and help reduce that guesswork homework for those students on which database, right, they should initially search to find related resources about their topic. So I, as a student, may not be familiar with what is contained in academic search as a database, or I don't know what JSTOR is, nor what it means, or a particular index like ERIC. But I can certainly search an interface that provides me with related resources. And again, those diverse formats, whether it's ebooks, articles, videos, primary source documents, to name a few about my topic, including the library's own resources, again, as part of that single search index. So one thing I do want to highlight with the library's OneSearch, and for some context and perhaps a refresher on how results are returned, we can talk about the sophistication of the engine doing the searching among all of the content that the library provides. So with EDS, with the library's OneSearch, when we consider how EBSCO's goal is to display the most relevant results on the first page to users based on their search terms, we consider our comprehensive relevance ranking strategy that uses several different criteria. So first and foremost, EDS, OneSearch is vendor neutral, which means that there's no bias towards surfacing content from any one provider. But instead, what you see here, these different fields are the most influential, and they're used in relevance ranking calculations during a user search. And these are the matching priorities that are listed in order of influence. So when I do a search in OneSearch, I am primarily getting results returned that include my keywords for a match on subject headings from different controlled vocabularies. So again, more topic searching related to what I've entered in my query. Then we look for terms along the article titles, any author supplied keywords, keywords within the abstract, and then keywords within the full text of the document. And then exact keyword matches are also favored over partial matches. So if you consider the fields in which those words appear, and then matches across multiple fields for an individual result are also going to factor into that relevance scoring for what we see within, for example, the first 10 results on the page. And then additional content attributes that contribute to the relevancy of results, or what we call our value ranking priorities for libraries OneSearch, include recency and currency. So recently published content is going to be scored higher, is going to be favored for relevance than older content. So consider something published in 2025 would have more weighting than something published 50, 60, 70 years ago. We look at document types. So certain document types are going to be weighted higher than others for relevance. So for example, peer-reviewed articles are considered more valuable, let's just say, than a book review. Um, and then we also look at document length that factors into the relevance weighting. So resources that have a more substantial length have a heavier weighting, for example, than a quarter page resource, which is considered less valuable. And then EDS, again, also uses something that we call enhanced subject precision mapping. So really, it's a way for discovery to leverage and connect the SORI and controlled vocabularies across all of these subject indexing providers to provide more targeted results. So we'll take a look at this when we go into the live environment. I'll show you the content provider facet, which really helps illustrate all of these different content sources that we're searching, and then to build out that initial result set as part of a unified search index. So I've got a couple of examples here just to sort of illustrate what enhanced subject precision is doing, what EDS is doing when we're searching. But for example, if I search the term learning aids in EDS, the types of results that I would be presented would also include items and resources that have similar subject headings like instructional materials, educational resources, instructional media, and you can see a small representation of the databases that results would be returned from, like APA PsycInfo, ERIC, CINAHL. And same thing if I search for a general uh, pharmaceutical name, for example, Durax, which is an antihistamine, we'll get the brand name variations like Atarax and just generic names overall. So again, part of that enhanced subject precision is also anticipating what students and users are searching and being able to provide them with similar or like results for terms that they may not have considered throughout their initial query. And we'll talk a little bit more about some natural language enhancements directly within the interface. But one thing I will mention is that EDS does provide search results that leverage natural language within the query. And so if I, as a student or a user, searched for an acronym like AI for artificial intelligence, I would also receive results for that particular topic. Same in this particular example, if I search for UAV or unmanned aerial vehicle, I'll also be presented with results that include similar terms like drone or remote control aircraft. And so we're coming up on my last string of slides here before we jump into the live environment. But I do like to share this slide because for me, it really just captures the essence of a library's OneSearch and how users interact with the platform. And we can see a couple different bullets here. So ideally, EDS OneSearch is one search box. So again, offering users a single entry point into the library's resources and collections. It builds out that unified index for a single search experience across all research information and library resources, which can be helpful again for students and users that don't have database specific knowledge as they begin to answer that research question. It's also that one interface that provides the ability to save and bookmark content across multiple content providers. So, for librarians, for faculty, it does offer that consistent platform for teaching and instruction. So, for me as a student or a user, I don't have to create accounts across different database providers to save my content, or I don't have to know the nuances of a JSTOR database or another database, right? I can save all of my items in a personal My EBSCO folder within this platform, which we'll also talk a little bit about when we go through the live interface. Again, one results list for streamlined access to all of the library's content. And this is extremely helpful in terms of from a library perspective, because there are so many different databases that are available that sometimes these subject-specific resources that are important or may provide some really great information for students and the topics that they're researching, they may go unnoticed or unused in that long list of A to Z databases. So it's nice to have, again, a starting point where all of this content can be searched and accessed from within the library. So with that, I'll pause to see if there are any questions. Karen, I don't know if there's anything that's been come up within the chat, but we can go into
No.
a live demo. We're good.
We're good. I did want to mention we have a UAGC library tip sheet that we've created to help students with setting up and using their My EBSCO account. I'll drop it in there now. I'll be sending it out as well with the recording. We also have an HTML announcement that any instructor can use to share in there. It's just a copy and paste announcement ready to go to let your students know about using a My EBSCO account and everything that Marish is about to show us. So I'll be sure and post that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, and please feel free if you all have any questions or would like me to dive deeper into certain elements within the interface, I'm happy to do so. Um, So here we have the EDS or the library's OneSearch interface. It incorporates a modern, user-friendly and intuitive layout that's really founded on responsive design. So it is mobile friendly. So whether I'm browsing and searching on a desktop, tablet, or mobile device, the elements on the page will conform to my screen size. The interface is also founded on accessibility first, and that is a key consideration in how research information is delivered across our EBSCO interfaces and platforms. And it also informs features to meet industry standard accessibility guidelines. And I'll share some additional features as we sort of go through the platform that lead into accessibility. Um, Generally, when conducting a search, right, when performing a search through Library OneSearch or starting at the library's homepage, and Library OneSearch would direct to the results landing page. But as part of sort of my initial tour, if you will, I'm going to start with the basic search landing page directly within the interface. And here, the basic search landing page, it's going to include a single search field. We do have what we call our quick filters for easy limiting to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And then I can also limit to a particular time period or a specific date range as well. I'll also just highlight and point out that the library currently limits to full text as a default. So this means that students will be presented with results that are available for immediate access from the library's subscribed resources. Um, and then if we're on this page here, you'll notice at the very bottom corner, students can easily access library tutoring from the icon here. So this will be available across the search experience and on the results page as well. Going into the advanced search screen, which is really the page that the library defaults to provide researchers with guided style search boxes. So I have these different search fields here. Users can add um, additional search fields, but also create more complex queries using Boolean connectors for and, or, and not. We also have the ability to qualify our keyword terms by applying a field code to the search. So I'm able to limit my terms to specifically search, for example, the title or the abstract of the resource, or if I know a particular journal ISSN, I can search by that number as well. And then users do have access to additional filters available on this screen, including limiting by language for specific resources. Um, and then we can also key in some additional terms within our fields for author title as well as journal name. So let's go ahead and we'll start with just a general search. I'm going to search for something like educational psychology. So we'll give that a minute to load. But before we jump into how the results are reflected on the page, you'll notice that I do have this toggle turned on for natural language search. And this is a search mode. I should point out that the label will change later on this week to AI assisted search. So you may notice that distinction post this session, post this webinar. But this is actually an advanced search feature that just allows students and users to query the interface, to query OneSearch using everyday language. So users can search in a more conversational manner, or they can even ask a question. And what this search mode does is it leverages natural language processing to comprehend the initial intent and contextual cues within that query. Um, and so transparency is a big part of this for EBSCO. So you do have a link here that further defines how it works. So feel free to link to that. We can also provide some additional resources, which I'll share out along with the slides related to natural language search. But you'll notice here the refined query. And I really like this because it provides a breakdown of the Boolean string that is searched, which can be helpful for both novice and advanced researchers to build on their initial terms or their initial question that they've entered. So here are some, additional terms that I can consider adding to my bank for my research, like instructional psychology or learning psychology or pedagogical psychology. So that is natural language search. Within the search results, we can also see that my initial result set is sorted by relevance, which includes those value ranking priorities that we sort of went through along with EDS's or OneSearch's algorithm. But results can be sorted chronologically by date newest or oldest. And then using the three dots here, I have the option to save this search or create a search alert. I should say these features, if I wanted to save this string of resources, this string of results, these features require that users are signed in and personalized with a My EBSCO account. And so if we look at the top navigation here, you can see that I've already logged in with my personal user account. So the interface recognizes that this is me, and I do have access to a string of different things within this dashboard, if you will. And the prominence of this dashboard just really reflects students' growing expectation that work done online can be collected, bookmarked, and retrieved. So I, as a student, or just users in general, who are often performing these research tasks iteratively and across multiple devices, the dashboard just makes it easy for me to pick up where I've left off with a research project. And it's also a way for me not to second guess what I searched or an article or resource that I've previously accessed and didn't think to take down the name or the author to find it later. So we'll look at some bookmarking features within the interface as well. But just a quick snapshot of the My EBSCO dashboard. Let me go into projects here. So you can see that I'm able to build out specific projects for myself. So I do have a leadership and management project that is in the works. But let's just say I was working on my current assignment for educational psychology. I can add a due date for myself, a description, just, to keep me informed on why I'm creating this project or for what purpose. But then I can start to file away and save things in this project. To show you what the project structure looks like, I'll click into my leadership and management. And I don't have anything currently saved, but you can save specific records and you can save specific searches to a project. So we'll take a look at that with some other examples. I do have a way to easily bookmark outside of the project structure, just generally my saved records, searches, and search sets. So you can see here I've saved 5 records previously from a different search, so I can easily access those saved items later. And then I do have some action items or bulk items that I can take advantage of. If I select all 5 of my resources or one of my resources, I can download the detailed record view of that. I can move this into a project. So we saw that I didn't have anything saved currently in my leadership and management, but I meant to put this into a project folder. So I can go ahead and add it to my leadership and management project folder now. There are sharing capabilities. So with any results that you find across your EBSCO resources or within the library's OneSearch, I do have the option to share the item. So I can save to a number of different cloud management platforms like Google Drive or OneDrive. And I can also email the resource directly to myself or to a colleague or another user with some additional preferences for display. If I wanted to include a citation style in APA, if I wanted it to include the abstract, I can go ahead and send that. And then we also have the cite feature. So again, I can select my preferred citation format. I can copy this to my clipboard, paste it into a Word document, or I can export my citation to a number of reference management tools, including RefWorks, or download the RIS format that I can work with within that tool. So that's a little bit of a breakdown of some of the bulk action features that are available for results and within the saved area. Here are some previously saved searches. So I can always rerun a search by clicking on this link here. And search sets is an advanced researcher workflow. I don't have any currently saved, but you are able to run multiple searches within the interface and save those as a search set. So instead of me having to run all 6 of my searches individually, I can rerun the full session of all of these searches that I've ran across the board. We also have access to recent activity, so you can see sort of the searches that I've done within the last hour or two, along with those limiters that have been applied. I do have the ability to combine searches, so you can combine your S5 with your S4 search as an example. You can combine it with or, combine it with and, so that'll create a new search altogether. Um, and then we can also view current records that I've accessed, which in this case, I haven't accessed any PDFs or HTML documents within the interface just yet. Um, I will say that your recent activity um, holds true for a user's current session, which is up to 24 hours. So if I wanted to come back and access any of these items, I would recommend bookmarking them or saving them, either to the general saved area or again, a specific project folder that you've elected within the project structure. Holden checkouts, this is specific for any EBSCO ebooks that have been checked out for reading. And then here we have access to a series of alerts that can be created. So I can create a journal alert, or again, I can save a search alert. So let me go back to our original search here. Now that we've sort of taken a look at what's in that dashboard and what users can do when they're personalized, I can go ahead and save this search for myself. So if I click on that, I'll be able to name this search. Again, I can provide a description. I have access to the query, and I can copy this to the clipboard if maybe I'm keeping track of, for literature review purposes, right? Keeping track of what I've exactly searched along with my Boolean string, and I can go ahead and save that. And then in terms of creating a search alert, we'll go through that workflow. So here I can create a search alert that will actually send me an email digest of new resources that meet my search query and filter parameters. So I can choose the frequency, whether I want this alert daily, weekly, or monthly. By default, all alerts will expire 1 year after creation, but I, as a user, can go in and extend that alert at any point in time. Um, You'll want to make sure that you select yes, I want to receive an email when the alert is created. That way you can be notified that it went through successfully. And you can also run an alert notification where if there are no new results, you can still receive confirmation that there's been nothing new added to this particular search. And then you'll just enter your email address, and you can also share alerts with different classmates or colleagues at the institution. So you can add as many emails as you would like to also receive that alert. And then we can create that alert. So we'll get back to our results list. So going back to my results list here. I also have the option to perform and access more advanced research tools to manage my results overall. So we saw a little bit of the action items and the quick tools that a user has access to for adding to a project, sharing, or citing. But one thing I did want to point out here is that if you are personalized within the interface, you have the ability essentially to download, save, and add to a project up to 500 records at a time. If you are not personalized, if you are not logged in, you will see the default of 25. So it's really beneficial for users to be logged into this personal account because they can leverage more information and perform some of these larger bulk actions to help support their research workflows. Um, Within this particular result set, you'll also notice these two, what we call placards. So the first placard is our publication exact match placard, and this will highlight any specific titles, whether they're ebooks or particular journals, that the library provides full text access to. So you can see I have 15 publication matches. And I did this intentionally to show you the different kinds of results when there's multiple publication matches, but we do have a book. For educational psychology, I also have the peer-reviewed journal that I was hoping to access. So I can go ahead and click into the database directly. To access this database, to access this journal title from this particular database. And I can also search directly within the publication within this platform as well. So that's the exact match publication placard. We also have, in cases where there is a match, students and users would be presented with what we call a research starter. And this is just a broad topic overview from licensed encyclopedic content. Users can go ahead and click read more, and that would provide them with a synopsis along with lateral links to similar or like topics. And then sort of scrolling down, we do have a bibliography that might be helpful where they can research additional resources. And then within the context of this search, I do have the ability to further limit my results. So if we click into all filters, this will bring up the filter modal or panel where I can, more granularly limit this result set. But one thing I do want to highlight here, in addition to the scholarly peer-reviewed limiter that's accessible, is this content provider facet. So again, really the goal of any library OneSearch is to search across all of these different databases and make it easy for users to find similar like content without needing to search directly. Because again, I as a student may not know what IEEE is, or I may not know what Sage Research Methods is, but I do have resources contained in these databases that are being returned within the results set. So a nice way to illustrate everything that Discovery is searching in this particular case. I'm going to go ahead and do an additional search here. So let's do something like nursing leadership. And you can see I do have popular searches or keyword terms that are being suggested. So again, EDS's ability, OneSearch's ability to anticipate users' intent when searching. And I also have related publications, much like the publication match placard, that are being recommended based on my topic that I'm entering. And for this particular search, I'll go ahead and we'll limit to peer-reviewed. And we'll take a look at some of the individual results. So let's just say the second one looks like it is of interest to me. again, we have the ability to bookmark that article, which I already have. If I click on the three dots here, I do have those same quick tools for citing, adding to a project, or sharing. I do have my access options that are presented. If there's only one way to access this resource, you'll see a button much like the first one where it says access now and the direct PDF. If there are multiple formats or multiple databases represented where I can link out to that resource, I'll see this access options drop down for the full text. We also have the Scopus integration. So, depending on the result, this would allow access to citation counts and links to the Scopus platform so that users can view additional metadata for a given citation result set. So, if I click on that, this will take me out, and you can see I'm provided. Go ahead and accept that. I'm provided with some additional results that might be helpful to me for citation chaining purposes. You'll also see this more like this button, and this actually supplies similar resources that share subject headings. So if I click on that button, we'll get this modal, this pop out that provides up to five similar or like articles within this view that share similar subject headings. And I do have those access options represented. And then the next button that you see here is something called Generative AI Insights. So this is our tool that offers concise summaries that present 2 to 5 key points for each document when the full text is available. Really, what these summaries are is it's generated by prompting a large language model to summarize insights from the specific article within the results list that we've selected. Um, What's nice about this feature, I think, is that AI insights are available in the language of the interface, regardless of the full text language of the article. So, for example, if the full text article is written in Chinese or Spanish, and the user has its interface selected as English, the AI insight that's generated, those bullet points are going to be auto-translated into the language of the interface. So I think this is a helpful tool if you find a really great title or resource that's written in another language and you want to sort of make sense of it to see if it can be helpful for your research. Um, this particular button won't appear for all results. It seems like it is in this particular search since there's a lot of hosted full text items. But some records might not display a Generate AI Insight button because there's cases where the content has fewer than 200 words, right? So we can't generate a summary for an article or resource that's short. Um, but overall, the tool can be used to assess whether this article may be a good fit for my research, and just provide some additional information that may go beyond what's provided, within the full abstract, just to help me decide whether this article may be a good fit for my topic. So that's the Generate AI Insights. You'll also notice as we sort of scroll through different results, there are author names that are hyperlinked in green. So there are additional information sources that are provided based on the author through what we call our EBSCO scholarly graph. And so for authors and contributors, we'll see the disciplines that they have worked in. We'll have links out to their Open Alex profiles, just different metrics like a total work, cited by counts, co-authors. But what I really like about this feature is that I'll get additional articles where that particular author has published. So I may find, again, related articles or related content that may be helpful for my research that I can, bookmark and save for later or future reading. And the last thing I'll sort of highlight within the results too, is that we have hyperlinked subjects. So again, if I wanted to narrow down on a particular subject heading, maybe something like nurse leaders, I can click on that and I'll see a list of articles and resources that share uh, that similar subject heading. I'm going to go ahead and click into the detailed record because there are some additional pieces of information there. But you'll see I have the full details of this article, again, hyperlinked authors. I do have a tab for references. So these are all of the references that are included in the article that I'm currently reviewing. So again, another helpful tool for citation chaining, and I can bookmark these items, or I can, perform some of these bulk quick tool actions, if you will, for citing or adding to a project. I can limit the references to things that the library has available for direct access in full text. So that's a nice feature if a student or user needs access to a citation right now. We saw the more like this recommendations within the results set. But if we are in the detailed record, there are additional recommendations that are expanded beyond the five that are presented in the initial window. So again, I have the option here to save these items. And then we have publication contents. So this shows me articles or resources from this particular uh, journal and this particular issue. So again, there might be related content in that particular issue, that particular journal title that I can leverage as well. And just taking a look at the document viewers, we'll go into the online HTML full text, but you'll see at the very top, I have those same quick tools represented, along with some additional features like translate and text to speech, or what we call read speaker. So for any online HTML hosted full text documents within the interface, users have the option to translate the full text in over 100 languages supported. And this is going to be powered by Microsoft Translate. And what's nice here is that students and users can also download the translated document. So that might be helpful for, students or users. Who are reading in a different language, or want to translate the native language of a document into a language that they're familiar with. And then if we look at text to speech or read speaker, I mentioned some of our accessibility components. So this feature is particularly helpful for multimodal learning and portability. So I do have the option here to play back the words on the screen. I can adjust the volume, the playback speed. We can download the full MP3 for listening. And then I do have anchor highlighting for text as I sort of go through the document. And this is also available for any PDFs as well as hosted ebooks on the platform. The only difference is that we won't have highlighting in those PDFs, but I can still download the MP3 and play back the words that are on the screen. The last thing I did want to share and cover, and I'll go back to a new search, is under research tools. There are a couple of different tools that are available here. I just want to highlight very briefly Publication Finder. Um, this is a separate tool that's available under that research tools area that serves as the search interface for basically an A to Z publication browse, and is part of the web-based tool for organizing and providing links to all library resources, particularly those e-journals, e-books, and different packages. But what I like about this particular search view is that if we click on Browse Subjects, you do have the ability to see more granularly what the library has access to for a particular subject and specific um, publications. So, for example, for education general, I can see a list of all of the resources filed under that category or that subject heading. And then I can limit maybe to journals and peer-reviewed journals at that that might be helpful for my research that I would want to further explore and access. So with that, I'm going to pause and check in with Karen and see if there's any questions in the chat, or if there's anything else that we should sort of walk through or any other points that we should cover.
This has been wonderful. We haven't had any questions in the chat, but I'm happy for folks to grab the mic if you do have any questions or anything to add. While you're thinking, I just want to say, Marisha, I can't stress enough what a game changer the natural language search feature of EBSCO has been, and of Library OneSearch has been for our students because, just a few years ago, if a student was looking and they didn't understand keyword searching, they would get zero results searching in the library. And it was such a frustrating experience, throwing something at the wall and getting nothing in return. And now it has been so wonderful. Students will call us up and we walk them through just what that, and it's set up to be a default. So now students might not even realize what they're doing, but it's been great when you show a student, click where it says show refined query and it breaks it into keyword searching because then they're still getting that exposure to an important skill of keyword searching. I love that you guys do that for them. And it helps get their brains thinking critically about, okay, well, then maybe I do want to try this keyword, or maybe I don't actually want it to be searching this. I'm going to try keyword searching with these other terms. So it's been really exciting as a librarian to be part of that shift. And just one of the ways that I feel really hopeful about some of the AI technologies that are coming to play in our own libraries. So thank you.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great feature. I mean, there's different topics that I wouldn't have even thought to use that particular keyword term or that particular phrase. So it's nice to have a tool to help me in my research process, right? Not replacing my research
Right.
process, but giving me some added value when I'm conducting a
Ah,
search for something specific, for sure.
absolutely. So empowering. I love it. All right. Well, do we have any questions or comments from anyone? No, we've had some good positive feedback in the chat. Thank you. Please, I will just to let everyone know, I'll send out the slides today and the recording and also the resources that I shared, which thank you. Ted Ellis, you already shared with your students. So the rest of you, please feel free to share with your students. It's something that applies to any discipline, any program that you're teaching. Send it out to any faculty that you work with because it's just a good reminder for students that they have a really powerful tool within the library to help them with their research. So awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. It's great to see so many of you here today. Thank you for joining us. And you all have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Marisha. You're awesome. All right.
Bye.
Take care,
Thanks.
Bye.
everyone. Bye.